Hi there. So I started a YouTube channel, and that was at the end of March, and I really just wanted to talk a little bit about why I started a YouTube channel and maybe what I'm hoping that other people can get out of it. Um, Part of it is just how do you want to live your life? Do you really think about how you live your life, or do you just go through the motions? We're kind of raised to think, I got to go to school, maybe go to college, then get a good job, build up some kind of retirement, and then I'll be a success. I'll buy a house, I'll buy a nice car, I'll buy lots of things, I'll have kids and send them to college, and that's all I need to do to be happy and successful in life. But what's really successful to me is just, are you happy in what you're doing? And you might find a job that you absolutely love, and you love going to work every day, and you feel like you're contributing something to society, and your life is worthwhile, and you have fun in your free time, and that's great. But I think my thoughts have really come around since I was younger to, well, what if that's not really what you want? And what are the options? So I was recently called a capitalist, which I thought was pretty funny. But I do think we can all take advantage of the capitalist system that we live in. But we can also just become a victim of the capitalist system we live in. So recently, I've always had a 401k through various jobs. But recently I opened a little stock account, and I've been, looking at what to buy. We can talk about that more another time. But that's participating in the free market system. So in order for the free market system to work and capitalism to work, there do have to be people that, go to college and become engineers and doctors and scientists and get good jobs, and there have to be people that work on the factory floor. But that doesn't mean that you have to feel trapped in what you're doing. And I think the way to not feel trapped is to think about what's marketed to you as a consumer, and as a person in this capitalist system. So what's marketed to you is that you need a lot of stuff. So I think my point to you is going to be, do you really need a lot of things? Do you need, or do you want them? So what do you really need? You need food to live, you need shelter to be safe, and you need good health. That's what you need. And if you're being convinced that you need other things, like you need a $100,000 car, then I think that's a problem. You may want a $100,000 car and a $500,000 car, and that's fine. If that's what you want and you're able to afford that, then that's great. You should get that. And that's, again, part of the capitalist system. You're going to make a lot of money and you're going to be happy. However, if you are suckered into debt, into spending more than you have, into spending more than you make, then you're being used by the system. So the banks are going to make money off you by making sure you have debt. And there's an advantage to your employers in making sure you have debt and to the system. So you can either play into that, or you can be smart and not ever have debt. They start off right when you're young. Oh, you have to get a credit card because you need to build up a credit. You need to have a good credit report, a good credit score, or you'll never succeed in life. Well, that's just their game, right? So, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. Maybe you get a card and you use it and you pay it every month. But if you buy something that you can't pay off in a month, that you don't already have the cash for in the bank, then you're in debt. You're in debt right there. And if you're going to not have a reserve of funds so that you're spending money that you're counting on coming in, then crisis is going to happen, and you're going to not have those funds, and then again you're going to be in debt. So now you're going to pay extra for the thing that you bought, and if you bought it on sale and that was your justification for buying it on your credit card, just like, well, it was such a great sale, and then you pay a bunch of interest, then you're not ahead. And as far as a house, if you rent and you're thinking of buying, then you need to think about, all right, well, it's not just the cost of a mortgage, it's the cost of the repairs on that house, the just regular maintenance, the insurance, and then of course the unforeseen. And what if you lose your job? Yeah, you can get another job, but there's just a lot of things to think about. I didn't mean to throw everything out there at once, but I think my main point is you need to start questioning what's accepted. You need to stop just going along for the ride and thinking that success means doing something that you really don't want to do because in some future date, at some future time, you're going to be able to be free. So, I wouldn't be waiting till I retired, because that may never happen. And honestly, the way the economy is now, I'm middle-aged, and a lot of people my age, they can't even think about retiring. The costs are skyrocketing, since the 50s. Buying a house to sell it as your nest egg, when you retire, it really isn't a thing. If you are thinking of buying a house, save up. But I think the first thing you need to do is you get your first job, and it's fine to have a job. I'm not saying you don't need to have a job. You get your first job and you make sure you put money aside for yourself first. First thing you do. You have a savings account that you don't touch. You maybe have a stock trading account, and that is your security blanket. Because I'll tell you what's going to make you feel successful is not worrying about money. And having debt and having a lot of bills every month is not going to create happiness. And to me, that's not success. You need to feel secure. And as much as, money, can be evil, money is a good thing. Money makes you safe. Money lets you pay for healthcare and having your teeth cleaned and, whatever else. But you need to be in control of the situation and not let money control you, which I think is how most people end up. So I'll probably talk a lot about this in the future, about what to do about credit cards and what to do about buying a house, and it's just my experience. So as a middle-class person, born in the 60s, growing up with the understanding that you need to go to school and then you need to get a job. So obviously with the internet and YouTube, there's a lot of other options besides working for someone else. I'm not saying that you don't need to work to get income. And I think sometimes being in the middle class and not being desperate is a detriment in a way. I know that sounds horrible. I'm sure if you are struggling and you were brought up really poor and you had nothing, you're thinking, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say. But honestly, it's too easy to get into that comfortable routine. So you become part of the machine, and you don't become a good part of the machine. You become a cog in the machine. So, the big companies of the world need you to work for them, and you do, and you get money, you get paid, and that's what it should be. You should be glad if you have a job for getting paid. And if you're not happy in a job, you should just leave the job. You shouldn't complain because all you get is paid. But I just want you to think about the options before you create a lot of debt and you create a situation where now you're stuck. I've gone through my life from job to job, always sort of exploring things that I would rather do. I love woodworking, I like jewelry and metalwork, you can see I'm sitting out here at my hives, I love beekeeping, I love being outside, and I'm doing this video outside because I think more clearly. I think you maybe connect with nature and think a little outside of the industrial box. And you need to think about how you're going to succeed in a way that makes you happy. And I think freedom, and especially financial freedom, will make you happy. And again, my biggest point is that doesn't mean having a lot of stuff. Honestly, stuff can be an anchor that weights you down and it is not going to bring you happiness. It's just going to, you're just going to drag it around. I think less is more. I think living in the smallest place that's comfortable for you is the best idea. And again, you're not going to succeed. You got to put money in the bank, but that's just going to sit there. And the only person that's really helping is the bank. So unless you have stock in financial institutions, I think maybe, make sure you put some of those funds in something that's going to grow a little better for you. And that's a whole nother topic, and there's a lot of research to do there. But I do think it's important, and I wish all young people would start. They feel like I got to pay off my student loans. Again, very important. I've got to, pay my bills and maybe buy a new couch. But before you buy a new couch, you got to put some money aside for yourself, for that security blanket that you're going to need. And from then, you actually will enjoy, if you get a job working for somebody, you can enjoy it, especially if you never have to worry about paying a bill, because you've got a huge nest egg that you've built up since you were 16 years old. It's just a different way to think about things, and I know everyone thinks they're going to do it later, and when I get a real job and a 401k, I'll put away money then. But by then you could have a car loan and you could have a mortgage, and then there's going to be bills that you don't expect, and you could have already been building that up. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for today, and I'll be talking to you more about how to make your life enjoyable and stress-free, or at least as stress-free as humanly possible. Thanks.